The North American aviation P-51 Mustang is an American long-range, single-seat fighter bomber used during World War II, the Korean War and other conflicts. The Mustang was designed in 1940 by North American Aviation in response to a requirement of the British Purchasing Commission for license-built Curtiss P-40 fighters. The prototype, an A-73X airframe, was rolled out on 9 September 1940, 102 days after the contract was signed, and first flew on 26 October. The Mustang was originally designed to use the Allison V1710 engine, which, in its earlier variants, had limited high-altitude performance. It was first flown operationally by the Royal Air Force as a tactical reconnaissance aircraft and fighter bomber. The addition of the Rolls-Royce Merlin to the P-51B C model transformed the Mustang's performance at altitudes above 15,000 feet, matching and bettering that of the Luftwaffe's fighters. The definitive version, the P-51D, was powered by the Packard V1650-7, a license-built version of the Rolls-Royce Merlin 66 two-stage two-speed supercharged engine, and was armed with 6.50 caliber M2 and Browning machine guns. From late 1943, P-51Bs were used by the USAAF's 8th Air Force to escort bombers in raids over Germany, while the RAF's 2 TAF and the USAAF's 9th Air Force used the Merlin-powered Mustangs as fighter bombers, roles in which the Mustang helped ensure Allied air superiority in 1944. The P-51 was also used by Allied air forces in the North African, Mediterranean and Italian theaters, and also served against the Japanese in the Pacific War. During World War II, Mustang pilots claimed 4,950 enemy aircraft shot down. At the start of the Korean War, the Mustang was the main fighter of the United Nations until jet fighters such as the F-86 took over this role. The Mustang then became a specialized fighter bomber. Despite the advent of jet fighters, the Mustang remained in service with some air forces until the early 1980s. After World War II and the Korean War, many Mustangs were converted for civilian use, especially air racing, and increasingly preserved and flown as historic warbird aircraft at air shows. Design and development. In April 1940, the British government established a purchasing commission in the United States, headed by Sir Henry Self. Self was given overall responsibility for Royal Air Force production and research and development, and also served with Sir Wilfred Freeman, the Air Member for Development and Production. Self also sat on the British Air Council Subcommittee on Supply, and one of his tasks was to organize the manufacturing and supply of American fighter aircraft for the RAF. At the time, the choice was very limited, as no U.S. aircraft then in production are flying match European standards, with only the Curtiss P-40 Tomahawk coming close. The Curtiss Wright plant was running at capacity, so P-40s were in short supply. North American Aviation was already supplying its Harvard trainer to the RAF, but was otherwise underutilized. NAA President Dutch Kindelberger approached Self to sell a new medium bomber, the B-25 Mitchell. Instead, Self asked if NAA could manufacture the Tomahawk under license from Curtiss. Kindelberger said NAA could have a better aircraft with the same engine in the air sooner than establishing a production line for the P-40. The commission stipulated armament of 303 in machine guns, the Allison V1710 liquid-cooled engine, a unit cost of no more than $40,000, and delivery of the first production aircraft by January 1941. In March 1940, 320 aircraft were ordered by Sir Wilfrid Freeman, who had become the executive head of Ministry of Aircraft Production, and the contract was promulgated on the 24th of April. The NA-73X, which was designed by a team led by lead engineer Edgar Schmood, followed the best conventional practice of the era, but included several new features. One was a wing designed using laminar flow airfoils, which were developed cooperatively by North American Aviation and the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. These airfoils generated very low drag at high speeds. During the development of the NA-73X, a wind tunnel test of two wings, one using NACA 5-digit airfoils and the other using the new NACA 45-100 airfoils, was performed in the University of Washington Kirsten Wind Tunnel. The results of this test showed the superiority of the wing designed with the NACA 45-100 airfoils. The other feature was a new radiator design that exploited the Meredith effect, in which heated air exited the radiator as a slight amount of jet thrust. Because NAA lacked a suitable wind tunnel to test this feature, it used the GALCIT 10-feet wind tunnel at Caltech. This led to some controversy over whether the Mustang's cooling system aerodynamics were developed by NAA's engineer Edgar Schmood or by Curtis. Although NAA had purchased the complete set of P-40 and XP-46 wind tunnel data and flight test reports for $56,000. The NA-73X was also one of the first aircraft to have a fuselage lofted mathematically using conic sections. This resulted in the aircraft's fuselage having smooth, low-drag surfaces. To aid production, the airframe was divided into 5 main sections: forward, center, rear fuselage and 2 wing halves, all of which were fitted with wiring and piping before being joined. The prototype NA-73X was rolled out in September 1940, just 102 days after the order had been placed. It first flew on the 26th of October 1940, 149 days into the contract, an uncommonly short gestation period even during the war. With test pilot Vance Breeze at the controls, the prototype handled well and accommodated an impressive fuel load. The aircraft's 2-section, semi-monocoque fuselage was constructed entirely of aluminum to save weight. It was armed with 4 30 M1919 Browning machine guns, 2 in the wings and 2 mounted under the engine and firing through the propeller using gun synchronizing gear. While the United States Army Air Corps could block any sales it considered detrimental to the interests of the U.S., the NA-73 was considered to be a special case because it had been designed at the behest of the British. In September 1940, a further 300 NA-73s were ordered by MAP. To ensure uninterrupted delivery, Colonel Oliver P. Eccles arranged with the Anglo-French Purchasing Commission to deliver the aircraft, and NAA gave 2 examples to the USAAF for evaluation.